Greetings. R. Frederick Riddle here with another Christian News and Views. This is episode 183, and this is Wednesday. And we had a meeting. Yesterday, I reported a meeting between President Trump and Prime Minister Netanyahu. Well, they met again. In fact, they've had two meetings, and they're supposed to. I believe Netanyahu is going to meet with the Senate today. So we've been having some progress going on. And this is sort of a follow-up report on all that going on. I'm going to read the article that I came across, and then I'll make my comments. U.S. President Donald Trump on Tuesday met for a second time in 2 days with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu to discuss Gaza, as Trump's Middle East envoy said Israel and Hamas were closing their differences on a ceasefire deal. The Israeli leader departed the White House on Tuesday evening after just over an hour's meeting with Trump in the Oval Office with no press access. The two men also met for several hours during a dinner at the White House on Monday, during Netanyahu's third U.S. visit since the president began his second term on January 20th. Netanyahu met with Vice President J.D. Vance and then visited the U.S. Capitol on Tuesday and is due back in Congress on Wednesday to meet with U.S. Senate leaders. He told reporters after a meeting with the Republican House of Representatives Speaker Mike Johnson that while he did not think Israel's campaign in the Palestinian enclave was done, negotiators are certainly working on a ceasefire. We have still to finish the job in Gaza, release all our hostages, eliminate and destroy Hamas military and government capabilities, Netanyahu said. Shortly after Netanyahu spoke, Trump's special envoy to the Middle East, Steve Witkoff, said the issues keeping Israel and Hamas from agreeing had dropped to 1 from 4, and he hoped to reach a temporary ceasefire agreement this week. We are hopeful that by the end of this week, we'll have an agreement that will bring us into a 60-day ceasefire. 10 live hostages will be released. 9 deceased will be released. Witkoff told reporters at a meeting of Trump's cabinet. A delegation from Qatar, which has been hosting indirect talks between Israeli negotiators and the Hamas Palestinian militant group, met with senior White House officials for several hours before Netanyahu's arrival on Tuesday, Axios reported, citing a source familiar with the details. The White House had no immediate comment on the report. The Gaza war erupted when Hamas attacked southern Israel in October 2023, killing around 1,200 people and taking 251 hostages, according to Israeli figures. Some 50 hostages remain in Gaza, with 20 believed to be alive. Israel's retaliatory war in Gaza has killed over 57,000 Palestinians, according to the enclave's health ministry. Most of Gaza's population has been displaced by the war, and nearly 500,000 people are facing famine within months, according to the United Nations estimates. Trump has strongly supported Netanyahu, even wading into domestic Israeli politics by criticizing prosecutors over a corruption trial against the Israeli leader on bribery, fraud, and breach of trust charges that Netanyahu denies. In his remarks to reporters at the U.S. Congress, Netanyahu praised Trump, saying there has never been closer coordination between the U.S. and Israel in his country's history. Now, here's my opinion. It looks like the current fighting in Gaza is coming to an end. Plus, there appears to be progress in the return of hostages. But I want to reiterate what I said yesterday. Neither President Trump nor any other leader in America or abroad can bring the war to a close. Now, we're talking about two wars, really. the war within a war, that's the one in Gaza, that can be brought to a close. But the greater war between Jew and Arab, that is the greater war, and that cannot be brought to a close by mere human efforts. There may be ceasefires, pauses, even times of relative peace, but the mindset will remain. You have two peoples who trace their heritage back to Abraham, which is when the war began. It will end when Christ returns and restores the kingdom of David. But I am all for ceasefires, pauses, and relative peace. My prayer is that such may be achieved through these talks. Just remember, a final ending rests in God's hands. When you realize that, you're on the right track. Well, have you enjoyed this past week of listening to my comments, my opinions about things? Well, if you do and you haven't subscribed yet to my channel, I encourage you to do so. When you do that, you always encourage me. You encourage me to inform you, encourage you, and to inspire you. Now, that's my goal every time I come on the air. But I have no way of judging except through you, whether I'm achieving that goal or not. And so that's one way I know. When people are subscribing or following or even likes, all these things, or leaving comments, all these things give me a sense of where I need to improve, if there is such a need, and I think there is. Is there, do you agree with me, disagree with me? What's your thinking on this? Speak to me. I will listen. I'm not going to say I'm going to agree with you, but I'm not going to say I'm going to disagree with you either. I will listen. I'll respectfully listen, read your comments. And I may even comment in return, or it may find its way up into one of my podcasts. Well, that's it for today. Again, I encourage you to subscribe to this channel, TR Independent Books. In the meantime, I will see you in the next episode.